Hi there guys, Sam here, you join me in the Golf R. Yeah, and again, just a little bit of a quick video, not really on driving, just a little bit about Android Auto, Apple CarPlay and Volkswagen's CarNet services. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of kick this off because I'm kind of in a little bit of a, not really a problem, but just kind of like a little bit of a back and forth with VW. So I'll rewind back to a year ago when I first got the car. Essentially a day after I got it, I was up in the Peak District, and I sort of was like, oh, it's coming up with, you know, you need a license key to use this, you need a license key to use that, and one of the main things it was doing it for was Android Auto, and I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shame. I'll just, you know, I'll call VW, they'll give me the code, job done. And I called VW, and she basically just said to me, oh, you know, yeah, it's not actually activated on your car, you know, you have to pay XXX amount of money. And I was like, no, I've just spent, you know, an awful lot of money on a car. I'm not paying for that. And that was, and you know, there was no budging really from their side. And I was like, fine, leave it. Not the end of the world, move on. And since then I hadn't really thought about it at all. I hadn't really thought about having it or needing it or using it. Up until a couple of weeks ago when I used my phone a little bit more for the sat-nav. And I was kind of like, well, it'd be pretty cool if it wasn't sort of as cluttered on the dash, to actually have it connected, you know, directly to the sat-nav, a bit of bigger screen, phone sort of tucked away, that'd be quite cool. So I was like, oh, well, I wonder how much it costs. You know, if it's 50 quid, yeah, just probably do it. If it's more, probably not. And then I'll kind of move on. So I emailed VW sort of customer service and asked them. They sort of went back and forth, and I was like, you know, how do I use it? And I remembered my car came with CarNet. It came with like a subscription to that when I got the car, and I was all signed up and hooked up to that. And when you check VW's website, you kind of notice that they kind of intertwine all three. So CarNet is actually sort of mixed in with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So I'll do screenshots of the website here. It kind of gives you the impression that they're all sort of one. And I was kind of like, oh, that's weird, because I have CarNet, but I don't have the others. So I was kind of thinking, okay, you know, I'll go back and forth with VW, see what they say. And he sort of came back to me and said, you know, yeah, your car should have it, etc., etc. And I was like, great. How do I use it? And he said, you know, go into your local dealer, they'll tell you how to use it and stuff. And I was like, fine. And I was like, you know, I have CarNet. Can you confirm whether or not I have to pay to get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto? And I'll show the email, maybe take out his name and stuff. And it clearly says, you will not have to pay if you have CarNet to use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Android Auto in this case, because that's all I have. So I was like, great, I've got an email in writing. So I popped into my local, well not local, kind of local VW dealer down here. And of course I went in, sort of said, you know, I was told to come here, you know, to set me up with sort of Android Auto, you know, can you help me out? So the reception lady went back, and then came back to me about sort of 5 minutes later and said, oh yeah, you know, yeah, we can activate it for you, that'll be £220. And I was like, well, no, I've got an email here clearly saying that you shouldn't have to pay extra for it. And she was like, oh, okay, right, well, I'll go back. She went back. She came back again 5 minutes later and sort of said, well, you know what, it's like an SD card for your sat-nav. You need to have that to get it, and etc., etc. And I was like, okay, well, this email clearly says it should just be free. And she's like, oh, you know, can I take the email and I'll take it back to customer service. Again, going back and forth. She went back with my phone with the email all up, clearly from VW. Came back to me and said, you know, listen, it's clearly saying something different to what we've been given information from VW. We'll give VW a call and we'll get it all cleared out, because ultimately someone has to pay for it on the system, which I kind of get. You know, if they have to click on a license, it takes away an X amount of money. Don't think it's £220, but whatever. So I kind of got that. Anyway, so I sat there for another about 20-25 minutes. And she eventually came back to me and said, listen, we're on the hold to VW. Bear in mind, this is like a Friday evening. Well, it's all about 5 o'clock. I knew they just wanted to get home and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, fine. And I was like, you know, if we take your number and your name, we'll give you a call back and we'll get it all sorted. So I gave my details and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know, who will call me back? When will they call me back? And she said, well, it probably won't be tonight. It might not be tomorrow. It might be next week. Really vague answers, which isn't exactly what you want. And then I was like, well, who will call me back? And she was like, Claire, Phil, Simon. She gave about 10 lists of names. And I was like, this couldn't be any vague as anything. And one thing as well, in my job, I work in IT. You get instant numbers for basically any sort of issue, and that's kind of how I'd like a reference to kind of go back to, so I don't have to explain the whole situation again when I eventually probably call them or pop in again. But that wasn't really happening. She was nice enough. I got her name anyway, so I was like, okay, I've got that. I've given them my story. Let's see if they call me back. I'm not going to really chase on it. I've got better things to do, frankly. And come next week, if I haven't heard anything, I'll just pop into the dealer again and I'll go through the exact same story, and I won't leave until I get some sort of an answer, which I will share with you guys. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I mean, nothing to lose really. You know, if it is a case that it's all intertwined, get Android Auto, I'll hopefully be able to share it with you guys. And if they eventually tell me no, it's a mistake on VW's side, then I'll probably say, well, okay, that's fine, but I've still spent my time wasted going back and forth. He's clearly stated that it is part of my system. Your website clearly states that it's all intertwined. You know, they need to give me a better answer really, or help me out. So that's really it. So I'll keep you posted. I'm kind of in the middle of it all. Not really anything about the Golf R, but just a bit around Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, CarNet. If you have any sort of comments or issues, or been in similar situations with licenses and all that kind of rubbish, you know, feel free to, you know, drop a comment, let me know, and again, I will keep you posted on this small little story on Android Auto. But yeah, hopefully, as I've been talking, I've shown you a little bit of the sort of screenshots around the car and where I'm at, but that's kind of it, and I'll see how the experience goes with VW and where I get to. Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Hopefully a small little video, little story. Give it a like if you've enjoyed it. Comment anything really sort of regarding it. And yeah, be interesting to know your thoughts around it all. But thanks very much for watching. Enjoy the sun if you're in the UK or anywhere sort of in Europe. It seems to be ridiculously sunny, hence why I'm doing this in the morning. And thanks very much for watching. And for reference, if you tuned into my last video, which I'll put a link up there, this isn't the exciting clip or potential video that I'll be doing. This is just a random sort of in between. Hopefully that's to come in a couple of weeks, and to share it with you guys would be really exciting. So please subscribe, stay tuned for that. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.